Have you ever wondered about the history of alcohol use in the U.S. Navy? The journey begins in the late 18th century, specifically 1794, when the first laws and orders came into effect, regulating the consumption of alcohol on U.S. Navy vessels. These early regulations were rather liberal, providing sailors with daily liquor rations. It was a way of keeping morale high during long voyages and harsh conditions at sea. In addition to this, there was also an allowance for commutation of rations for cash. This meant that sailors could essentially trade in their liquor ration for a monetary substitute. This was a time when the Navy's relationship with alcohol was quite different from what we know today. However, as we step into the 19th century, we see the beginnings of a shift in this relationship. The wheels of change were set into motion, pushing towards more stringent measures. These early regulations set the stage for more stringent measures in the future. But as the years went by, the Navy's stance on alcohol began to shift. This shift was not an overnight change, but a gradual process that saw the tightening of regulations around the consumption of alcohol on board U.S. naval vessels. A significant turning point was the issuance of General Order 99 in 1914 by Secretary of the Navy Josephus Daniels. Now, this wasn't just any order. General Order 99 effectively prohibited alcohol on board naval vessels, leading to the end of what was known as the officers' wine mess. This was a tradition where officers would gather to enjoy their daily liquor rations, a practice that had been a part of naval life since the late 18th century. So, what prompted this drastic change? Well, it was a combination of factors. As society evolved, so did attitudes towards alcohol. The early 20th century saw a growing temperance movement, advocating for moderation or even total abstinence from alcohol. In the Navy, there were concerns about the discipline and efficiency of the seamen. Alcohol, it was believed, could impair judgment and performance, risking not just individual lives, but the success of missions and the safety of the vessels themselves. Josephus Daniels, a staunch supporter of the temperance movement, saw the prohibition of alcohol on board as an essential step towards maintaining the Navy's discipline and efficiency. He believed that a sober Navy was a strong Navy, and his actions reflected this conviction. This marked a significant change in the Navy's approach to alcohol. The Navy didn't stop there. More orders would follow, further restricting alcohol use. After the pivotal General Order 99 in 1914, the Navy continued its journey towards sobriety. In the following years, additional orders were issued, each one further restricting the use of alcohol at naval installations. A significant order in this sequence was General Order 59, issued in the year 1935. This order went on to reiterate the provisions set by its predecessors, leaving no room for ambiguity. It clearly stated that the use of alcohol on naval vessels and at shore stations was strictly prohibited. However, as with most rules, there were a few exceptions. For instance, alcohol could be used for medicinal purposes. The ship's surgeon was given the authority to prescribe alcohol to sailors if he deemed it necessary for their health. Moreover, alcohol could also be used in religious ceremonies. For example, wine could be used during communion services on board. Another exception allowed the use of alcohol in specific social situations, but only when the vessel was in port. This was often the case during official receptions or when foreign dignitaries were visiting. Even then, the consumption was carefully controlled and monitored. Thus, while alcohol use on naval vessels is largely prohibited, there are a few exceptions to the rule. These exceptions, however, were and still are few and far between, reinforcing the Navy's commitment to maintain discipline and efficiency among its ranks.